Hi, I'm Tommy Vincent, your host of Stay a While podcast, recording live from Radio Row at Super Bowl 60. This season, we have some phenomenal guests that are joining us at the Stay a While table. So pull up a seat, get comfortable, and come and stay a while. Tune into our conversations to receive nourishment for your mind, your body, and your soul. Hi, this is your personal invitation to come, take a seat, and stay a while. I'm Tommy Vincent, your host, recording live from Radio Row at Super Bowl 60 for Stay a While podcast. And it is an honor today to welcome Dr. Mimi Nartey to Stay a While. Dr. Nartey is the president of Playing for Keeps Association, and her work sits at the powerful intersection of health, movement, and community. Through her leadership, Playing for Keeps is creating spaces where children don't just play, they feel supported, included, and encouraged to thrive. Dr. Nartey brings both heart and purpose to everything she does. And I'm so grateful to have her here to talk about leadership, service, and what it truly means to show up for our kids. Dr. Nartey, thank you for joining me today at Stay a While.
Thank you so much for having me. What a privilege.
The privilege is all mine, dear. All mine. First of all, you're looking all fly in this outfit, so if you're listening, you can't see, but we see she looking sharp.
Thank you. I tried.
So you and I have had a wonderful week here at Super Bowl, but it did not start this week.
Mm-mm.
But it wasn't that long ago
Right.
where we connected, and Playing for Keeps Association came alongside of Love Thy Neighbor CDC to do some meaningful work at Burkhalter Elementary School. And you led the charge of getting a full-size youth soccer field turf installed at the school along with an agility turf. And that is amazing. But where I want to sit in this conversation is the type of leader that it takes to get something like that done in a quick turnaround where you're having to negotiate and to navigate politics of a school board. You're having to internally figure out the solutions and address the problems before they even arise in order to meet a timeline to get that done. So let's talk about your leadership and how you believe sports played a role in setting you up for success today.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And it was, in fact, a tight timeline. It was an ambitious undertaking, but you've kind of teed me up precisely right. I come from a sports background. I was a professional soccer player. I became a member of the Ghana women's national team at the tender age of 15 years old. And I had a 7-year tenure with the national team that included a silver medal in the African Cup of Nations and a FIFA Women's World Cup appearance. And I, as a professional soccer player, was a striker. And I always say that the number one skill, transferable skill that I learned as a striker was ruthless optimism. Ruthless optimism, because when you play striker, you have to maintain hope and belief. You take a shot, you miss, you have to believe that the next shot is in fact the one that's going to go in. Mm-hmm. That's the attitude and the skill set that you have to develop. And so that has served me very, very well in kind of the social entrepreneurship work and philanthropic work that I do. It's just that sense of hope and that sense of belief that underlies everything that I do. I feel confident and resolute that every no is just the precursor to the next yes, that every challenge is just part of making the game interesting, but the actual outcome is just on the other side of persevering through that initial no. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So at 15, I did not know that. That is amazing. So 15 years old, how did a 15-year-old hold up that level of pressure to be successful?
It was really interesting. I credit my dad. I have a really close relationship with my dad. He was my trainer and my coach. And he has always instilled a lot of confidence and belief in me. It was a very interesting experience because when I first went to try out for the Ghana national team, it was my first time to Ghana. So it was a very powerful experience for me as an adolescent to explore not just myself as an athlete, but my actual identity, my connection to my culture, and to understand who I really was. I had other international soccer experience at that juncture. I'd played and had some different kinds of accolades, like on the European continent. So I was prepared in a sense, but nothing ever really prepares you for West Africa in the 90s. For West Africa in the 90s. But I think I've always had more of a spirit of curiosity rather than judgment or anxiety. Like I tend to be curious and again, optimistic. And so I think those are the underlying values that helped me face that opportunity and ultimately succeed. Now, credit to my teammate, the culture of Ghana. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to go to Ghana.
I have not.
Okay. It is a wonderful, welcoming culture in general. Not to say that I didn't face some politics. There's always a little bit of political stuff. But I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of laughs. Maybe it was because I was young and immature in some ways that I found myself kind of, found a way to success despite all that pressure. And I had a number of interesting challenges. I had malaria at some point during my 7-year experience, but on the younger side. And that's really what fueled my passion for public health and global health. And as you know, I was in academia for about 8 years. And that's the pathway that sort of led me to even this work, because it really is about public health interventions and empowerment through sport.
So, when we did the activation at the school, I shared with you about the impact of a teacher on my life.
Yes.
And there's, as young people journey through life, there are adults that can really make or break a child. And so you've had experience with coaches. Is there a particular coach that you attribute to investing in you that fueled you in your journey to be where you are today?
Now, again, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge my dad for all of the training and the time that he put into me. But what's really interesting, Tommy, is I moved a lot when I was growing up. And so I had so many coaches. And that was a real learning for me. So I had coaches from Brazil, Mexico, Russia, Jamaica, Ghana, Ireland. And it helped me to understand the game very deeply because I saw the game through so many different worldviews. And that also has informed my ability to think about life and the open-mindedness and to understand that there are different ways to look at the same situation, the same game, the same problem, and find success. There's so many different interpretations, and there's wisdom in learning. Every person and every perspective has a unique value. And so I would say my answer to that question is maybe not one specific coach, but the unique experience of having so many different coaches teach me the game and see so many different people have the same love and passion and a little bit of a nuanced insight. It makes you wise. It makes you really appreciate the power of sport.
Was your dad a soccer player?
He was. He was a very great soccer player. Ghanaians love soccer. It is part of the cultural fabric. And so he was a very talented soccer player. He didn't actually play at the professional level. He was also a really good student. My dad is one of those 1600 on the SAT kind of guys. So, he had to pursue that path to make a better way for his family, the family that he bore, and then his family that was back at home. But he loves soccer. And he, to this day, will still get out and train my kids in soccer. He loves the game. And so I feel really grateful that he and I had that to bond over. And I always joke, it's just me and my sister, but I say I was my dad's first son, only son, because we are tight and soccer is it. Soccer's on, he'll call me, we'll just be talking about the game and everything. So he didn't get a chance to play, but he really loves the game and he's imparted that. It's a family legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You and your husband, Kofi, you have 2 children.
Yes.
And your children are also involved in sports.
Yes.
Why was that important for you all to have that as a part of their rearing?
Yeah. So I think the opportunity to play sports, it's kind of behind the mission of what we're even doing in building the play spaces. There's unstructured play that's really important for little kids, but there's also structured play through sport that is really important in the development. And there are just some things that are hard to teach outside of the simulations we can run in sport, hard to teach authentically. So, you can learn determination, you can learn grit, you can learn perseverance, you can learn teamwork and different kinds of discipline. And I think, when we consider the underserved communities that we often target, these are really important life skills that they learn authentically.
Mm-hmm.
But even for children who have many privileges like our own, it's hard to simulate,
Absolutely.
the challenges
Yes.
that it takes to really develop your character. And it's like, it has to be something physical. You have to be physically taxed and fight your way through. You have to face the disappointment of a loss. So these are for every child, no matter, where you find yourself along the continuum of society. It's a really important opportunity to reflect and develop yourself through sport. I believe that with my whole soul. Yeah.
So when you're playing sports, are you driven, or when you were playing sports, were you driven by the win, or were you driven by hating to lose?
Oh, that's a good question. I do hate to lose. I'm a coach now too, and I do hate to lose. I think it's really the quote that resonates with me most deeply around this is Michael Jordan's quote. He says, "I never lost a game, only ran out of time." And that's how I feel. I'm like, there is a way. If I can get it done before the whistle blows, that's all. That's all. If I had more time, I could figure this out. It's just a great puzzle, a great dilemma, and it's more of like solving. And it's the passion to solve in real time. So I think it is a hate to lose, because I hate to feel like the clock ran out. It's like an escape room. The clock ran out before I could figure it out. But there was definitely a way out, and it was just a matter of time. Yeah.
Well, listen, I hate to lose.
Exactly.
I hate to lose.
Right.
And I don't even have to be the best at the thing, but because it's competitive,
Right.
I will rise
Yes.
to the occasion.
Yes.
So you always want Tommy Benson on your team.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you.
absolutely. I believe it.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
So I like that there is this element of your competitiveness and your success as an athlete, that has really undergirded your success as a leader in business.
Right.
And when you think about what you're doing with Playing for Keeps Association, what are some of the goals that you would like to accomplish while you're at the helm?
Yeah. So again, this is all fairly new. November 5th was my actual launch for the Playing for Keeps. November 5th. And it happened to be my birthday.
Oh.
So yeah, that was the day that I formally launched the Playing for Keeps Association. And of course, shortly thereafter, we've done this project. And I'm looking at the opportunities in California over the next 3 years.
Okay.
So we have 2 Super Bowls, we have the X Games, we have the NBA All-Star Games, we have the World Cup, and we have an Olympics between now and 2028.
Yep.
And so that's 3 years where sports is going to be centered in our society, in our local society. And the challenge that I've put to myself is, can I translate those 3 years of sports into 1,000 years of impact? So we have, the field that we installed, and I believe there's probably about a 12 to 15 year warranty on that field, but I know it'll last a bit longer, maybe probably a good 20 years. And so that's just one example of one project. And so my goal, my personal challenge to myself is to see if over the next 3 years, we can have 1,000 years of resonant impact for children in this community, or in this state, but also nationally and potentially even internationally.
Well, I know you play it big. You know, you like go big or go home.
I
And
am.
you're not going home.
And I'm not going
I've
home.
witnessed already. I have firsthand experience that you get it done.
Yeah.
And that has been, it's been a joy to watch you activate and how you do what you do, because it was like we already were so deep into the game that everybody was really, they were in alignment with the assignment they were given. And here you came along with something that we would have loved to accomplish, but it wasn't like a thing that we were focusing on. And because of who you are and how you move, you didn't need us. You know, it didn't require us to step away from what we were doing. We just gave you the things that you asked of us, but then you like, it was like sending pictures, getting a text message. This is where we are. This is what's being done. And I'm like, now this my girl. I could just tell, because you know how to show up and you know how to get things done on purpose. You know, everything about it was very fruitful and very intentional. And so with this, what you see, your 1,000 years of impact with the work you want to accomplish over these next few years, in all of that, how are you factoring in Dr. Mimi? And also, like, not and also, but how are you factoring in how you're also going to make sure that you are taking care of you have a family, you have children, you have a husband, and you have plan for keeps, right? So you got these pieces here, but in the middle of it all, it's you. So how are you going to care for you?
Yeah, this is the $100 million question for busy women like ourselves, because it's not easy. But I think, you know, I've tried to set the intention to create a bit more space for myself to rest and recuperate. And I actually understand much better now at what, as the kids would say, at my big age, I understand how I work. And so I understand the rhythms of my own working pace. And that in and of itself is a huge solve. Now, my husband is super supportive. My kids are super supportive. This is also part of our broader legacy. We have a family nonprofit foundation, the Nartey Sports Foundation, which is connected to the Playing for Keeps Association. So, you know, this is all part of, you know, as we continue to grow and expand, part of what we'll be doing. But he definitely holds me up, lifts me up, and provides, you know, a lot of space and opportunity for me to recuperate and recover. But I've started figuring out how to function in my own life strategy. And I think that comes from having a certain level of experience, acknowledging that you don't have to do it the way other people do it. You understand yourself, you understand, you know, some people are really early risers. I'm not. And, you know, and that's just what it is. You know, I'm not a 5 a.m. in the morning girl. I've tried that. That's not really how I function. That's not how I give my best part of myself. And so, you know, you can't subscribe to what seems to be necessarily the common template for how to be successful or how to be accomplished or ambitious, what it looks like. It has to look like what it was meant to look like for you. And when I'm working in flow, I can accomplish so much. And then there's a little bit of a retreat, like a little bit of a downtime. It's like waves, you know, like the tide comes in and then it kind of goes back out. And I think, you know, figuring that out about myself and staying in alignment with that to the best of my ability. And now also my partner understanding that and giving me the space for that is, you know, really important. And that's sort of the strategy. But I would also say that when you're walking and living in your purpose, it's not as draining. I think we talked about this before. It's not as exhausting as one would think. You can do so much and still feel so full when you are doing what you're meant to be doing. And I feel like the way God has been unfolding this particular set of opportunities in my life is really, there's a certain ease to it. I'm working, but there is a certain ease to it that helps me know I'm on track and in alignment too.
When you think about 15-year-old Mimi and the journey it took for you to get from 15-year-old Mimi to where you are today, what would you share with her?
That's a great question. When I think about myself at 15, I was bright and I was energetic and I was hardworking. But at the time, I didn't have many different um, role models, I guess is what I didn't have many different role models. And so there are many ways in which I had to strike out and find my own path. Um, I guess what I would tell her is, have the courage to move forward in your own unique way. It's okay. There were times, I feel like generally I was pretty confident, but there are definitely times when you don't know. And just to offer that encouragement and to tell her, keep going, you've got this. There's so much opportunity on the other side. Keep saying yes. I mentioned the way that this is unfolded has been so interesting in my life. I keep telling a few people I'm having my Slumdog Millionaire moment. So there are so many different experiences that I've had, different callings that I've had, and I said yes. And now all of those are creating the correct answers for me in real time. And so, I studied environmental sciences and environmental biology, and we started a youth sports foundation, and I had been an athlete, and none of these things necessarily reconciled until right now. And they're all reconciling so beautifully and perfectly in my life. So it's just a matter of telling that girl, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Pursue those passions, even if it doesn't seem to make sense to other people. I remember when I was applying to grad school and I said, I'm going to go to grad school and I'm going to study in interdisciplinary climate change. And my dad said, what? I said, you're supposed to be going to medical school. Like, wait, what are you talking about? Climate change? It was before climate change was even a thing. But I said, I don't know. There's something to this. I was interested in malaria and the connection to climate. And so, it took courage because it wasn't something that my family understood. But the calling was in me, and that conversation that God has, it's in you.
Yes.
And it's a matter of you having the courage to find it. I think I heard this story before about Michelangelo carving the David. And I think I don't know if it was a David statue or another one, but there's one that was left undone. And it's because only the sculptor knows what it was supposed to be. Only the sculptor and the sculpture knows what it was supposed to. So nobody else can kind of come in and weigh in and complete it correctly. And so, it's a powerful metaphor. Nobody knows who you ultimately are supposed to be. It's between you and God, and you just have to have that faith to follow what you think that calling on your heart. Stay closely aligned, and you'll get there. Yeah.
You received your copy of my book, The Table of Life, Nourishing the Soul with Food, Love, and Faith at Stay a While Breaking Bread with the Vincents. The premise of the book is to teach the reader how to build their own table, one dish at a time, using all of the ingredients of their life. So thinking about your life and the dishes that are on the table, what is the one key ingredient that is necessary to be in those dishes in order for it to be authentically you?
I think the key ingredient that's me, I'm not exactly sure what the specific word is, but there's something about me that's just a little bit atypical. So something unusual. Maybe the word is just a little bit unusual or unreconcilable. So there are a lot of different, different parts of my life that don't necessarily reconcile, but that's kind of what is me. I love sports and I am gritty and I'm aggressive, but I also love tutu skirts. So, you know what I mean? So like these things don't necessarily reconcile. Being an athlete may or may not reconcile very strongly with being a scientist, but this is just who I am. And so I'm somewhere at the intersection of things that don't seem compatible, but that's, the two different flavors. But, sometimes that's where the real magic is, bringing salty and sweet or bringing even spicy and sweet. Maybe spicy and sweet I don't know what's exactly spicy and sweet, but something like that is probably my secret ingredient. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, I'm so grateful that you came to stay a while.
Thank you.
And I want you to know that you always have a seat at my table.
Thank you so much. I really deeply appreciate that. And while I have you, I just want to have the opportunity to say thank you so much for, inviting me into this project. And thank you for your leadership, because there is something to be acknowledged. You said that, I had the space to do what I do, but that is also a sign of prudent leadership as well. And thank you for the confidence that you instilled in me to get this done. And we've collaborated in a beautiful way. And I hope that we have a resonant impact for decades for those kids.
Oh, I believe we will.
All right.
100%. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I hope you felt the love and connection in today's conversation. Every woman you heard from has faced the impossible and emerged stronger. This is your personal invitation to stay a while longer at TommyV.com. That's TOMMIV.com for more inspiration for your mind, body, and soul. And let's not forget your belly. You're always welcome at my table. Please be sure to subscribe, make yourself at home, and stay a while.
Come on, stay